In 1967, the infamous Evel Knievel attempted this death-defying stunt to jump the fountains in front of Caesar's palace. He failed and nearly killed himself trying. In a few weeks, Evel's son, Robbie, will attempt the same jump, only this time with no hands. Both Evel Knievel and his son, Robbie, are here to talk about it. Welcome to both of you.
Good morning.
I remember in 1967 watching you do that jump, everyone holding their breath. Why encourage Robbie to do this when it nearly killed you?
Well, Robbie's 26 years old, and he's ridden a motorcycle ever since he was 6. He's been riding for 20 years. And he has performed all over the world with me, from as a little boy to today, and been on a tour with other companies, promoters around the country. He's jumped in almost every major stadium in America.
What you're saying is this is a grown man's decision to do this
Well, I can't tell him what to do,
himself.
you know, and I've made a good living at it. Very glad that you're an ABC affiliate, because of all the 25 years of Wide World of Sports, out of the top 10 shows that they ever had, I have the number 1, number 3, number 7, and number 9 ratings.
Do you?
Yes.
Robbie, talk about why you're going to do this.
Well, it's been a dream for 10 years. I've ridden for a long time. I'm very proud of the fact that my father created his own sport. My older brother did his last show with us when we were 13, and I was 11. And I think when I was 11 years old in front of thousands of people, I said, hey, this is fun. I want to be an entertainer.
Yeah, but is it fun? I mean, it's also extremely dangerous.
Well, back then it was fun. Now it's getting real dangerous.
Now that you're 2 weeks from the stunt.
And he never really encouraged me or, pushed me into it at all. I left when I was 17 because he wouldn't let me jump any further than 10 vans.
I tried to stop him.
You did?
Well, I thought that with my reputation and his name being legitimately the legitimate hire to what I had done, that he could get away with doing smaller jumps and put on shows and draw a lot of people, which
without putting his life in jeopardy.
Right, which he went ahead and tried, but he just broke my world record last summer in Portland, Oregon. I had jumped 21 cars in the late 70s, and he went to Portland and jumped 22 at the Nissan Grand Prix, and he did that with no hands.
We saw you in the introduction doing this jump,
yes.
But we have footage also of Gary Wells, who attempted this in 1980.
And he was almost killed. There's 2 of us that have tried it.
Let's take a look at Gary's footage. Why don't you talk about what you think he did wrong here that, Robbie, you will not repeat?
Well, he missed his he missed his takeoff and then also missed his landing ramp and crashed right into the wall.
Oh, God.
That was a terrible accident. It almost killed him. And he just thought that he could do it. But
some slow motion.
But are we talking talent here in order to make the mark, or are we talking a lot of variables? Wind? I mean, what are the other variables here?
The wind was not blowing the day that he tried it. I don't know how he missed his landing ramp. I never missed my landing, ever.
What happened to you during that jump?
Well, I was short on takeoff, about 2 miles an hour, and I slammed head-on into the landing ramp. But I never miscalculated and missed it like that.
How many bones did you break that day?
I've broken a total of about 35, but I broke my pelvis and my hip very bad and had a severe brain concussion. I was unconscious for 30-some days.
You would think that would, among those of us who are just regular folks who don't do this, that would stop you right in your tracks. You wouldn't do it again.
It would stop regular folks, but regular folks would never even attempt it.
Why do people watch this stuff, Robbie? Why do you think people like to see these stunts?
I think a lot of them will watch me today to see me make this. I think I'll become famous for making this and not missing it.
You're that confident that nothing will happen?
I've got 2,000 or 3,000 practice jumps under my belt and about 160 professional shows, and I've been to every stadium around the country and coliseum where I've dealt with a lot of tight places where nobody's dealt with as many tight places as I have, and if anybody can do it, I think I got the best shot at it.
What do we mean when we say you're doing it with no hands? Tied behind your back?
That's just an added twist. I go off the ramps and go through the air and say, look, Dad, no hands. I'm the only one that capitalized on what he was doing.
Talk about alcohol and how much of an influence it's had on you. You're pretty known as a heavy drinker before stunts and otherwise. Yeah. Was that a mistake you made in your life and your career?
Oh, I don't think so. I think the only reason I lived through the Caesar's Palace jump is because I was in such great shape. In fact, when I went there to get ready for the performance, I never drank, I think, for 2 months. In fact, the day before the performance, the girls that worked in the at the Galleria there at Caesar's Palace, they brought up a triple-layer cake to me with a statue of Superman on the top of it because of the way I've conducted myself there at Caesar's Palace.
Were there times when you drank too much?
Probably, yeah.
Before stunts?
I've done a little. No, never before stunts.
But I was reading that Robbie will take a shot of tequila before the
No,
stunt.
no,
That's
it's
not
whoever-
right?
no.
Bad
Where did you
press?
read that?
I read that. I'll show you the article.
Goes to show you believe nothing of what you read.
Okay, but
on
it's,
the
I had to bring it up
health
because obviously others have read it too.
Yeah, well,
I
I'll tell
hate
you what-
tequila.
I'll tell you what that comes from. There's been some pictures done by some of the older stuntmen that knew how that I did drink a little bit when I was going to perform, and I remember a Burt Reynolds movie that opened. I think it was produced by Hal Needham, and it showed the helmet and the gloves and a bottle of Jack Daniels, and that's how the old stuntmen used to live. So
Let's take a look at footage from Snake River Canyon. This is Idaho, and
Yes.
this was in 1971.
Four.
You look like you shot out of a rocket here.
well, what happened was when I took off, the parachute malfunctioned and blew right out on the launch pad. And if I'd have gone in the river, I'd have drowned because I was tied in that thing. And I got across the canyon, but it blew me right back into the rocks on the other side. It was, I waited 7 years to make that jump, and then that engineer, I had hired the best parachute man in the world to help me, and the engineer that was in charge of it fired him and hired his own guy, and that's just what happened.
And you allowed that?
Well, you know, he was a typical military type, egotistical little so-and-so, and he was in charge of the project. There's
Yeah, but
nothing
it's
that I could
interesting.
do.
I mean, it's your life on the line, Robbie. Would you allow something like that to happen? I mean, don't you
Well-
need to know who your people are and how good they
Well,
are?
I paid the guy millions of dollars. He was the best in the world. He's in charge of the Polaris program for the United States government.
How much did you make for that stunt?
On that one particular
yeah.
stunt, probably $6 million.
How much did you make over the course of your career?
About 65 million. I spent 70. I've
Yeah.
had such a great time.
Yeah, you really did live high on the hog, didn't you? Do you have any left?
Oh, a few bucks. This, I haven't worked since 1976, but Robbie put me back to work. This event will be on pay-for-view
Right.
television all over the world.
On April the
It's seen
14th.
everywhere,
Yeah.
and it'll be 9 o'clock your time.
You know, you have a wife and a 2.5-year-old little girl. How do they feel about your doing this?
I think they can't wait till I get this one over with, because we've been waiting for a trip to take my daughter to Disney World for quite a while.
Yeah, but Robbie, don't we also know that everybody's hungry? If you accomplish this one, everyone will wait to see the next one.
Probably.
And the next one.
Yeah.
He's going to do
People
that.
like
He's
to
going to
be
go to Europe.
entertained.
He wants to
And-
go back to London where I jumped and successfully show him over there that he can do it. And he wants to go to France and Italy and Germany and Japan.
Why are you rolling
and-
your eyes?
I want to do a lot of things, a lot of things that America's spoiled, and I want to go back to London and do the 13 buses that he missed. But like the Snake River Canyon, that thing goes, that was a contraption that was built, goes 0 to 300 miles an hour in about 4 seconds, and I'm in no big hurry to get in that thing. So
You're going to wait on that one.
I want to go back and do all the jumps he missed, but I can wait for that one.
Yeah.
Well, if you want to do all of them I missed, you got a lot of them to do. I want you to know something, though. I never missed a takeoff.
You
The
never
takeoffs
missed
were
a
beautiful.
takeoff, but some of the landings were.
You know, a lot of people said that Snake River Canyon jump was when the parachute came out. You know, when they go there, they say, "Well, if he'd have made it, it would have been easy. Anybody could make it." Then, if I'd have missed and died, they'd have said, "Well, that's what's supposed to happen to daredevils." Well, I didn't. I figured I did it just right. I just landed short of the river and lived. But there were a lot of people that said, "Well, the parachute came out and he pulled it, and it was a rip-off." Well, I want to tell you something. God hasn't moved that canyon 1 inch, and I don't see any big long line of daredevils standing up there.
No, I
wanting to
don't
jump
either.
across.